Joining us now on the WashU Sports Network is the head coach of the WashU women's tennis team, Coach Kelly Stahlhuth. Coach, how are we doing today?
I am doing great. It's summer. Life is good.
It's great to see you, Coach. Well, my first question for you, as part of our Bears in Hibernation feature that we're running on our website, is what has kept Coach Stahlhuth busy during COVID-19?
Okay, how am I staying busy? Well, I am keeping up with my current team, even a couple that may have graduated. I've been checking in with them a lot. We had to get through final exams, get through online courses. A few of them are starting internships, some in person, some online. Some are studying for the MCAT, some are studying for the LSAT. So I've been checking in with them a lot. We've had a lot of team Zoom calls, see how everybody's doing. With a lot of the issues going on, we've had a lot of discussions. Then I need to talk to prospective student athletes. And so we've had some Zoom calls with current players actually. And it's hard because they can't get information. So we're trying to get it out there so they can at least gather a lot of information before hopefully they can get back to their campus visits. Oh, and I did do a little cleaning in my house. I had to, this is a time I've never had, so I had to clean out a few closets. So it was productive both ways.
Coach Kelly, with 4 dogs in the house nowadays,
Yes.
with you and assistant coach Bruce, I'm sure there's lots of cleaning always to do.
Yes, and when he decided he thought we should get another one, which is a discussion we can have at a little later date if I supported it, but Stella is sweet, Stella is cute, and Stella's a puppy. So
Coach
we're
Kelly,
training and we're cleaning up also behind her.
Coach Kelly, I love the backdrop. Is that a virtual backdrop or is that actually a real backdrop?
It's a real backdrop. I don't want to rub it in, but we are in South Carolina, and that is a golf course back there. And am I going to play golf? I didn't bring my clubs, but I can play, but I'm going to just watch everybody else go by.
There you go. Well, Coach, let's talk a little bit about briefly about your 2019-2020 season. Obviously, you were off to a good start. You were 4-3. You were ranked in the top 20, and then COVID hits when you're on spring break. Can you just talk to me about the season a little bit and how it just came to a close very quickly?
So abruptly. Oh, it's good to go back and think about it, even though it's some hard days to talk about, because you train all year. You know, since last summer, people were working hard to move up in the lineup or make so many wins against certain teams. We had a great start. We had a great trip to Kentucky. The whole team went. We were supported, had a couple close matches, which is always great for bonding. Couple home matches in the winter. We were indoors, great competition, some D2 schools to get us ready. And we were just preparing and then got to California. Literally the first day we were leaving for California, we had 4 matches and one team's president said, hey, we can't let our teams travel. We're shutting things down. And that was on Friday, I think March 9th. I'd have to go back and look. I don't know the exact date. Practice on Saturday. Started getting a few more things happening. Had 2 matches on Sunday. Close matches, great matches. Caltech, a good friend of mine, Mandy, was there. We competed against her team's great start. In Chapman, beautiful facility, tough matches, 2 in a day. Those were 2 tough ones, 6-3, 6-3. Then Monday, we had a day off. That's when we were supposed to play the other school. And by Monday, things shifted even more. Dominoes started falling, in essence. I can't remember. There was some national dominoes falling. And then Tuesday, we had practice again. And then Wednesday, we were playing Claremont Mud. By Wednesday, a lot of schools were going to online. And I think ours was coming out that we were going to online. And we were playing Claremont Mud scripts late afternoon, 5 p.m. So we had a few meetings with the team in the hotel room and had a few correspondences from WashU saying we're doing online classes, but we hopefully will still get to compete spring-wise. And then by the end of that match, we all kind of knew that our season was over. And it was so hard because we had the first years just kind of getting into the heart of the season where it gets really exciting and they're supporting each other and we're cheering and the matches intensity ramps up. And then sophomores and juniors, they were carrying us and they were keeping us on track and people were working their tail off. Seniors, that's where it was really hard because you could tell that this was their last match possibly on that Wednesday and their college career was over. And we didn't have senior day. We didn't get to go to conference. There was just so many things. So by Wednesday, there were tears. There were tears. And it was hard because you don't want to let it go. You want to stick together. You have 6 and hopefully more postseason, 3 more weeks. So it's good to reflect on it because we realize that you can't take things for granted, you know. And what we did appreciate was where we had gotten with our friends on the team and what we'd accomplished in a short time. And we don't know what else could have happened. That's going to be something for them to work forward going forward. But it was, there's positives and negatives from it. And we realized how much we loved being with each other, how much we loved competing for each other. And we just had to leave some things undone. And I do feel bad. Hardest for all of them, but those seniors, how it just kind of went stop sign fast.
Yeah, that was definitely a tough spot for all of our spring student athletes and some of our winter student athletes too. Kelly, I want to talk a little bit about your playing career. You played for the Indiana Hoosiers for 4 years. You were a 2-time Big Ten MVP, 2-time All-American. Kelly, 249 and 73 overall record. That is absolutely so impressive. Can you just talk about the experience that you had while playing for the Hoosiers?
Oh, it was amazing. It was tough. It was hard work. I was in challenging academic classes. I was in the business school, Kelly Business School. So balancing everything I wanted to win for the team. I wanted to do well personally. I wanted to get through this amazing academic school. It wasn't easy. Back then, we played 2 out of 3 sets for doubles and 2 out of 3 sets, obviously, for singles. And so we worked our tail off. Every weekend we had competition. There wasn't quite, that might be dating myself, but there weren't limits necessarily on play dates. So we were competing 3 dual matches every weekend, 1 weekend off probably in the fall and 1 in the spring. And, but it's what made us so solid. You know, by April, our games we were clicking as a team and we were match tough. We were match ready to take on top teams there. So I loved it. It was hard work, but I loved it. It helped me to be flexible, be gritty. I had friends at my wedding when I got married a couple years later. I had, and I keep in touch with some of my old teammates now that were in my wedding. And, you know, you don't lose track of them. And I should tell you how it's probably been 30 years since I've been on the court at IU. And we're still texting and talking, which is something even more valuable than the game, you know.
Kelly, who was the top player you played against in college? For some of our fans that might remember some top female players in the 80s and 90s.
In college, played Katrina Adams. She played at Northwestern, went on to play pro. She ended up actually just finishing up her term as the United States USTA president. She ended a year ago, January. That was great competition. I played the Whitlinger twins in doubles. My doubles partner at the time, Stephanie Reese, and I played them, and tough match against Stanford. I'm trying to think of other names. It's kind of interesting. We don't have everything written. We had to write down our results on paper. So I know there's
times have changed, huh, Coach?
Huh? Yeah,
times have changed, huh?
Slightly. But I do have all the information been in my house, but I haven't looked so much at the people, but those were 2 amazing players who actually ended up going to play pro. And then my current doubles partner at the time, Stephanie, went on the circuit and did really well doubles and singles wise, Stephanie Reese.
So Coach, such a successful college career. Can you talk to our fans? Did you play any professional tennis following your time at Indiana? And did you have any aspirations of playing professional when you went to college?
It's a good question. I did play the summer after I graduated. I finished up in 89, and then I went the following summer of 90. went down to Florida, played some $10,000, $25,000 tournaments, played for a summer. You really had to commit life and finances to get there. And I thought by then, I just thought I needed to start going on something a little bit more stable of an income. So I gave it a go. You really need to give it 180% to get out in that life, you know? And I was probably physically able, emotionally able, and financially able to maybe do 90. And it wasn't, so no regrets. I've told people that I gave it a quick go one summer, prepping for that summer. And then I just thought I kind of need to get to the real world to get employed. So, but I told him I have no regrets. I have a friend who was out there, Kim Steinmetz from St. Louis. She did it for 14 years and she grinded and she played amazing. She had amazing wins and she went to every major and she just traveled for 12 to 14 years and she did amazing. And I guess for me, I was just like, okay, I'm ready to be in one city and settle in a little bit. So.
Coach Kelly, one thing, obviously, since I played college tennis, I know a little bit about, it's an individual sport. It's a little bit different. And if you think about it, when you were on your own, you're on your own as a professional tennis player or a professional golfer. And it's a lot different than being on like a professional NBA team or, for the St. Louis Cardinals. It's a lot different, isn't it?
Exactly. And then, you kind of go from, you play junior tennis and it's all individual. Your family's the one there. Grandparents are supporting you. You're competing with friends, but then you also might be practicing with them and then trying to go out in a tournament and beat them, which is fine. That's okay. Then you get to college and you got people cheering for you and they're rallying you. You might be down 5-2, 40-15, and they're like, come on. And then you start climbing back and it's like the best feeling because you're coming back, but you're doing it for them. And then to go pro, it is, you go back to being an individual again. And even probably a little bit more solitary, it's just you're the one who's got to get yourself up. You got to get yourself to that tournament. You got to feed yourself solid food. So there's so many aspects to it. And it takes very special people. And a lot of my good friends did it and I admire them. And, but you can't look back. I've told people I have no regrets about not being able to get into certain places where some people that I competed with could at French or Wimbledon. I think you have to be happy where you are at the moment. And where I was at the time was a great place to be after all that time as a junior and as a college player. It was okay to start a new chapter.
Coach, I want to talk about your head coach in college, Len Loring. I know you've mentioned to me that he's definitely your mentor. 40 years of coaching, 804 wins. Yes. So you're only close to about 600 shy of him. So you would have to coach a few more years to catch him. What impact did Coach Loring have on Kelly Stahlhuth?
Oh, Coach, in fact, literally probably in about a week, we were going to be celebrating his birthday. It was a huge reunion, come back 2 nights in Bloomington, Indiana. And, we were all going to get back. And if we couldn't do 2 days, we we're going to say hi. I won't say how old he is. He'd probably be going, what are you doing? He was at IU for 40 years. We were at a really crucial time. He was kind. He was calm. He was level-headed. He was honest. He was direct. He was supportive. It's so hard to help people. As we know at WashU, we want people to thrive, academically in the classroom and tennis. And he didn't want it to be one of the, he wanted it to be both. But we still had to follow, guidelines and rules because we were going to compete back. Indiana is a solid school. We were competing at the top 10 back then nationally. Coach, as soon as I started at WashU, I called him even when I was teaching at a club for years, but then I called him when I was starting to get into coaching, which is different. I didn't know it at the time. And I went to Indiana, stayed with him for a weekend and said, what are things I should think about? But all the good things I tried to bring, I learned from him. He was very organized. You're in charge of people. You need to tell them where they're going and what they're doing. We used to tease him that he used to give us the itineraries and the only thing missing on there were the bathroom breaks. But we had everything down to the, and it just gave you comfort. You knew you were going, you knew when you were going to compete, and you knew where you're going to be eating afterward. And I tried to bring a lot of those I'm fiery, I'm competitive on the court, I get fist pumping and stuff, but I try to stay calm. And if you didn't win, it wasn't the end of the world. And that's what was great about Coach too. Let's figure out what happened and move on. So Coach is a good man. He's a good man.
That's a really great story. Thanks for sharing that. Coach, I do want to ask you a little bit about your family. Obviously, your husband, Bruce, is an assistant coach for you, and he does a great job. You have two sons, Thomas and Ethan. Now, my question to you is, I know both of them, and I'd like you to tell me a little about, I know they both played college hockey, and one played some professional hockey recently.
Yeah, that's right.
But never didn't get into tennis. They got into hockey. So talk to me a little bit about this sports family that you live with, because it seems like everybody is involved in sports.
If you talk to Bruce, he'll tell you that it was my fault that I got him into hockey. When they were 4, you dress them up, they're padded head to toe, and you throw them out on the ice, and you just say, go figure it out, and they fall down. They can't get hurt. Everything's covered, and they get up and do it again. It is a 2-skill sport like tennis. You have to coordinate the hands and the feet, and you're hitting a ball, you're shooting a puck. So I got him into it. Once the older one did it, of course, the younger one usually follows. We would play tennis on vacations in the summer. They have beautiful strokes. They are very solid. I'm actually excited because a lot of hockey players do transition to tennis because it's always action. There's not a lot of, it's movement. Whenever they come and we see them and it's good weather in St. Louis, or if we're out of town, we try to get out on that court. In fact, the younger son, Ethan, will tell you probably 2 summers ago, he finally took a set off Bruce. I coached him up too. I was so proud of him. I don't know if it'll ever happen again. Bruce will say that he didn't have his contacts in, but, and then the older one, he's just so smooth with the strokes, but people are like, why do they play tennis? And I kind of guess I thought I wanted to give them another outlet. I knew tennis is a 50-week-a-year sport when you get to the top levels. There is no time off unless you get injured. And sometimes that is a blessing. You kind of need that mental, but certainly we don't want severe injuries. But at the level that they played, Ethan played club hockey at University of Arizona, which is a solid program. They compete nationally. Thomas chose to do Division III at Colby, and they ended up making the Frozen Four his junior year. Amazing. Proud of the team that he was on. They all came together. So they both, and then for them, academics was important. And we have to work hard. Things don't kind of come easy to our family. We got to work hard in the classroom. So they couldn't juggle everything at the higher level, but it was great. It was perfect fit for them. And so we play tennis on the court. We do some mixed. Now it's hard. We're not all together in the same city. Where we can't get our doubles match going like when they were in their late teens. But I'm glad. I think it's going to be something in their life, whether I'm there or not.
Thanks for sharing that story, Kelly, because I know how important your sons are to you. Coach, the last question I have for you, you're entering your 16th season at WashU. You have 215 wins, 12 NCAA tournament appearances, and I know you're working hard to continue that high level of the women's tennis program. What do you think has been some of the keys to the success at WashU, taking over, obviously, for a legendary coach, Len Loring?
It's amazing to come into a program where you're the only second coach in the school's history. She was here before Title IX through, I started in 2005, 2007. So I became the coach in 2005. And I leaned on her for a couple years, asking her 1,000 questions. So what was the success? I think the success is the players we're able to bring in who, like they're trying to find the right fit for their tennis and their school and their social life. For us as myself, Coach Bruce, Coach Aaron Swaller, and then all the staff and the peers, we're trying to find those student athletes who will want to come to WashU and excel in the classroom and don't mind working a little extra harder to get it. And then who really are not wanting to give up their sport. It might make them a better doctor one day. It might make them a better lawyer. They're going to be able to handle the pressure in the corporate boardroom. And they're ready to be part of a team. And they're respectful and kind. So really, it is the people we bring in. And then it's up to them to figure out how to, join as a team. The administration, the peers we are with. I mean, if I could tell you how many times I had discussions and happy tears with some coaches because we pulled off a win or they pulled off a win. And then there's just some times where there's just some tough adversity and you're like, oh, can you be, they're there to pick you up. It's just like the real world. So I really think that it's a dynamic where it is rare, which you probably have heard from multiple coaches and Chancellor Martin. It really is. These are student athletes who are going to excel and they're going to succeed and we're going to help support them. And it's a very student-centered collaborative place on the tennis court and in the classroom. So it's not really me. You get to be a participant. You get to be a cheerleader. You got to do a few things to get it organized, but you're watching them grow. And that's pretty amazing.
Well, Coach Kelly, we look forward to the 2021 season. It'll be starting here, in about 10 weeks, hopefully, for you as you start your fall season. And then hopefully, we can get things somewhat back to normal and you can have a spring season and get that, continue the success that you've had with the women's tennis program.
Agree. I appreciate it. And congratulations on your award. You won't tell anyone about your President's Award through COSIDA. Is that true?
Yes. Thank you very much, Coach
Okay,
Kelly.
good. And don't delete this part. Put that on there. Thank you for all that you do for us. And you stay safe, stay healthy. And as we always say on our team, go Bears. Roar.
Coach, thanks for joining us and stay safe. Look forward to hopefully seeing you in the office in a few weeks.
Sounds like a plan. Take care and thanks, Chris.